I'm going to tell you the easiest way to improve your score on the English grammar section. This is just amazing. I'm just impressed by these rules, and I don't know why most students don't know it. So there's two rules that you need to know, and I'm going to back it up by actual problems from the SAT, from the College Board, so that you could see how effective it is. So let's start. So the first rule, a semicolon is a period, okay? A semicolon is a period. I know there's some nuanced definition between what a semicolon is a period. Save that for when you get your PhD in English grammar, okay? For the SAT, a semicolon is a period. They treat it the same, so you treat it the same. And if an answer choice has both a semicolon and a period in it, they're both wrong. Good? The next rule is for colons. Colons always have to come after a full sentence. And what follows can either be a list or an explanation. So I'll give you the two examples. Example 1, I brought 3 items to the beach. Colon, a towel, an umbrella, and a book. So I brought 3 items to the beach. That's a sentence. If I could put a period there, I could put a colon, and now I can list the items I brought to the beach. Example 2, I hate my English teacher. Colon, she is very boring. So I hate my English teacher. That's a sentence. If I could put a period there, I could put a colon, and now I can explain why I hate my English teacher. The last rule, just to know, if you have a dash, 1 dash is the same as 1 colon. All right, let's start. So let's look from SAT number 1. You're going to have these questions on every SAT, so you might as well understand these rules, and these are the easiest points you're ever going to get. Okay, question 32. Over time, I've gotten to know several of my co-working colleagues. Another website developer, a graphics designer, a freelance writer, and several mobile app coders. So over time, I've gotten to know several of my co-working colleagues. That's a sentence. If I could put a period there, I could put a colon, and now I can list the co-working colleagues. Another website developer, a graphic designer, a freelance writer. Perfect. Notice that B doesn't work because B, the semicolon, is exactly like a period. So although the first part does work because it's a sentence, the second sentence would not work at all. Another website developer, a graphics designer, a freelance writer, and several mobile app coders. It's not a sentence, so that won't work. It's classic use of colons. All right, let's work on another problem. This is from SAT number 3. Question 14. Despite having worked for railroad companies, Fred Harvey, an English-born entrepreneur, period. Wait a minute. That can't be the end of a sentence, right? So that period doesn't work. But even if you didn't know that, look, A and C are the exact same answer choice. Remember what we said. One's a period, one's a semicolon. They're both the same, so they can't both be right. So A and C are off. They're out. So despite having worked for railroad companies, Fred Harvey, an English-born entrepreneur. Wait, is that a sentence? No, that's not a sentence. We said it wasn't a sentence. It can't be B because before a colon has to be a sentence. So it can't be A, it can't be C because they're both the same and it's not a sentence. It can't be B, it's not a sentence. The answer is actually D. Awesome. Let's work on another. 21. Living independently and demonstrating an intense work ethic. Is that a sentence? Who is living independently? Doesn't seem to be a sentence. So it can't be a semicolon, it's not a sentence. It can't be a colon. Remember, a colon only has to come after a sentence. So A and B are just out. Actually, the answer is D. Living independently and demonstrating an intense work ethic, comma. Who is living independently? So that's an introductory clause. Living independently and demonstrating an intense work ethic, introductory clause, comma. The next thing should be the subject, the Harvey girls. Good. All right, let's move on to the next example. Like I could do this all day, right? So it's really important to understand these so you understand these rules, and what follows, it's just going to improve your score for very little effort. 42. Nonprofit enterprises, such as the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project, have begun to fill the void created by staff losses at newspapers and magazines. Okay, nonprofit enterprises, is that a sentence? No, that's not a sentence. So it can't be B, right? Because that's a colon has to only come after a sentence. Nonprofit enterprises such as, is that a sentence? No, that's not a sentence. It can't be C. So notice that there has to be a colon only after a sentence. So B and C are out. And then you're really left with A and D. Now let's tackle both of those just for completeness. Nonprofit enterprises, you want to put a comma here, right? Everybody does. Comma, such as the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project, comma, have begun to fill the void, right? So you want to sort of have that in the parenthetical phrase. But since there's no comma here, you can't have a comma here. So that's why the answer is actually A. Nonprofit enterprises such as the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project have begun to fill the void. If you had a comma here by the such as the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project, there should be a comma here in order to have the two commas make a parenthetical phrase so you could remove it without affecting the meaning of the sentence. Nonprofit enterprises have begun to fill the void. Okay, let's move on. The next one is number 4. This is from SAT number 6. Just weeks after the scientists added the nitrates and phosphates, the water in Lake 227 turned bright green. Okay, it was thick with, colon. Wait a minute. It was thick with, colon? No, that's not a sentence. It was thick with is not a sentence, so it can't be a colon there. And C is it was thick with dash. A dash and a colon are exactly the same like we talked about, so it can't be A, it can't be C. Now let's look at the difference between B and D. D actually has 2 sentences connected with a comma. You can't have that. You can't have 2 complete sentences connected with a comma. It has to be a period. Just weeks after scientists added the nitrates and phosphates, the water in Lake 227 turned bright green. Okay, that is a sentence. It was thick with the same type of algal blooms that had plagued Lake Erie. That's a sentence. So you can't have 2 sentences connected with a comma. And actually the answer is B because it's explaining why it was green, right? Just like we talked about, it offers an explanation of what's prior to the colon. So why was it bright green? It was thick with the same type of algal blooms. Okay, let's move on to another example. Example question number 16. If employees find themselves falling behind in the workplace, these critics contend, then, okay, wait a minute, there's a period there. So that's not a sentence. And also, if we didn't know that, A and B are the same answer. Remember, period and semicolon are exactly the same. So A and B are the same answer, they're gone. Now, since we have a comma here for the parenthetical phrase, we need to have a comma here, then that's why the answer is actually D. Okay, let's move on to another example. Number 22. Let's look, where's the sentence start? From an employer perspective, the first and perhaps most obvious advantage is the lower cost of online professional development compared with that of in-person workshops and training. Okay, that was a sentence before. Employers can also identify which employees have successfully completed instructional modules and which need to be offered additional training. Employees can also identify, okay, wait, first of all, B and D, right away, B and D are the same answer, right? Colon, dash. There's no sentence before anyway, so it has to be wrong. So B and D are out. And there's no need for a comma here because there's no other comma to match up with the parenthetical phrase. It's not an introductory clause. So that's why the answer is C. Okay, let's move on to our last example, 24. I mean, we could go on all day, but hopefully you get the idea. Follow these rules, you'll be great. So 24. To counter the rise of fast food and fast life, okay, a cohort of chefs, okay, first of all, B and D are the same answer. Colon, period, same thing. They can't both be right. They're gone. C, to counter the rise of fast food and fast life, colon, is that a sentence? To counter the rise of fast food and fast life? No, that's not a sentence. So it can't be C, right? Because before a colon has to be a sentence. So the answer has to be A. I'm not even reading the rest. The answer has to be A. So there you have it. It's actually pretty straightforward. Use these rules in order to get a significant advantage on the SAT English grammar. All right, I'm Richard Stern, Carmel Valley Test Prep, and I'm happy to help you get to perfection. Like and subscribe, and we'll just keep rolling.